The president said, he just said this on the South Lawn. He said he's considering 4 to 5 different paths. Do you have any idea what some of them could be?
Brianna, he could certainly tweak the argument that he's been making these past few months as to why this question is justified. But keep in mind, the Justice Department and the Commerce Department have spent months arguing this up to the Supreme Court, and a majority of the Supreme Court said that's not good enough. We don't think that is a viable argument to radically change the census here. So the idea that he is now at the 11th hour past the so-called publishing deadline, which came and went earlier this week, to say, well, now we're going to refine it and we're going to convince the judiciary that we're right, major uphill battle. I don't see it happening.
What's the obstacle with an executive order?
Well, it sounds great, but the reality is it's subject to an injunction just like any other act of the executive branch. So I don't think that him saying I'm going to impose this extra question on the census through an executive order, it'll still be sued, there'll still be a lawsuit, they'll still get an injunction, and for the same exact reasons the court has already rejected it, they'll reject the executive order. So it's a bluff, but it's not going to change the legal dynamic here.
The reporting that we have is the president is frustrated with Wilbur Ross, the Commerce Secretary, and he just responded to this. He's pushing back on that. He says that Ross's job is safe. We know that for now. After a source told CNN that Trump actually believes Ross folded too easily following the Supreme Court's ruling against the question last week. Let's listen.
He made a statement. He wrote something out. The judge didn't like it. I have a lot of respect for Justice Roberts, but he didn't like it. But he did say, come back. Essentially, he said, come back.
Roberts didn't say that he didn't like it. He said that the rationale, Ross's rationale for putting the question on the census was, quote, contrived.
The purpose of the census, right, under the Constitution, is to count every man, woman, and child that lives within the United States, full stop, right? It doesn't say citizens, non-citizens, residents, visa holders, anything like that. So anything that would discourage people from responding to the census, and of course it's voluntary, is contrary to the point of the census. So there's already a pretty uphill battle as to why you would put a citizenship question in the census. And again, they've lost this battle for months now. I don't see a last-minute change in strategy making any difference.
A source also tells CNN that the administration believes, quote, a continued legal effort might force the Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts into making a decision that is favorable to Trump. Is that, I mean, how does this work? Because in a way, it just sounds like he's not taking no for an answer. Is that how this could end up? Or do you think the chances of that are just nil?
Well, I think the president likes to say that he is the ultimate decider, that he ultimately is the tough guy that gets to make the final call on things. But the reality is, as far as he has pushed things in many areas, President Trump has not yet openly defied a court decision. And I don't see him doing that now. So he might have some kind of, tough talk from the White House lawn there. But at the end of the day, if the Supreme Court makes the same finding, as I predict they will, that they've already had, that this is not a legitimate change to the census, he is going to ultimately have to respect that decision.
This is a tough time for career folks in the Department of Justice and Commerce, isn't it?
Brianna, I've served at the Justice Department, at the FBI, in the military. There are tremendously fine men and women that serve in all, all parts of our government. I can only imagine the chaos that they must have to live under on a daily basis by, governance by tweet. I mean, imagine being on a conference call with a federal judge, and the judge says, government, I understand your strategy has radically changed because I saw a tweet from the president. I can't imagine what it must be to be a lawyer on that call with a judge.
Joseph Moreno, thank you so much.